Now time for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show brings you famous celebrities and amazing people from all over the world. Listen online at themikewagnershow.com and on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And watch the interview on YouTube. So sit back and relax and enjoy the Mike Wagner Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at Sonic Web Studios for all your needs. And if you're looking for a professional website without breaking your budget, Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show is brought to you by Evan Fine of the Senior Reserve Group. When you start thinking about retirement, who you going to call about Medicare? Why call the best? Evan Fine of Senior Reserve Group, specializing in Medicare, health, and long-term care insurance. Evan can be reached at 1-800-650-9357. That's 1-800-650-9357. Or email to evanfine@seniorreservegroup.com. Evan is licensed in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, Delaware, South Carolina, and Florida. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can also check our Facebook page at facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can also download and listen on SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, and also watch on YouTube as well. Well, baseball season is around the corner, and we have a New York City born and living in Alameda, California podcast host. He's the owner of ComfortablyZonedRadio.com, and he also hosts a number of shows, and he'll be coming to a pretty big network on the internet pretty soon during the baseball season. He's been a lifelong Mets fan and follows the Yankees with a great passion, and he's been talking baseball for a long time. And, of course, you know, he's been on with Ron Rabinovitz, who knew Jackie Robinson very well, and a one-time New York Met, Skip Lockwood, and it was also Tony DeAngelo, and he's known many people throughout the years, and of course, he's heard on Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. You can also check him out at ComfortablyZonedRadio.com, and he talks a lot of baseball, so if you want to have 9 innings of solid conversation, this is the guy you want to talk to. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, stepping up to the plate on the Mike Wagner Show, the New York City-born, lifelong Met fan and Yankee fan, of course, talking Yankees, living in California, the great life, Ralph Tyko, the Zigzag Man. Ralph, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us, the Zigzag Man.
Oh, my God, what an introduction. I don't know how I'm going to live up to that, but I'll certainly try. How are you, my friend?
Hey, I'm doing great. You know what? Baseball is getting started, and this is just my favorite time of the year. I mean, you know, everybody talks about spring, you know, the flowers, the birds, and the skies and everything. But when I think spring is starting, baseball comes to mind, and it's one of my favorites. And I'll tell you who my favorite team is and who I enjoy a lot. And first of all, of course, let's talk about you here. And you're born in New York City, currently living in California along the Bay Area. You've been a lifelong Mets fan, and you enjoy the New York Yankees. You've been talking baseball for decades and decades and decades. You're the owner of ComfortablyZonedRadio.com. You also host a number of shows, and you've also had some great hosts on there, too, as I mentioned, like with one-time Met Skip Lockwood, who I remember watching. Also, Mark Littell, a one-time reliever for the St. Louis Cardinals and the Kansas City Royals. And, just looking at this list, it's just amazing that you have. And before we get into talking about what you do, tell us how I got started.
Well, it got started when I was a little guy. My grandfather took me to the Polo Grounds right before the Giants called up Willie Mays in 1951.
Oh, my goodness.
And I got to see them before and after the call-up in May. I was a little kid, but it was just wonderful. You grow up in New York, you don't see grass like the Polo Grounds. it was just terrific. And my grandfather was an avid fan, had nothing but time. He was semi-retired. And we'd go to games, and we did that. We, especially opening day, for years. And then, boom, they took the Giants out of New York. They took the Dodgers out of Brooklyn. And the spirit of the city was broken. Fortunately, we had the Yankees and they were great. I mean, we weren't settling by any means, but fandom is fickle. If you're a Dodger fan, you're a Giant fan, it's hard to root for somebody else. It's an incredible dynamic there. Your first love as a baseball team sticks with you. And when they left the Giants, my favorite team, I was 11, and there was between 1958 and 1962, living in New York as a kid growing up, until the Mets got there, we didn't have a team.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we got to see plenty of baseball, we were kind of the anti-Yankee fans. We were National League fans, and we rooted for the teams that came in.
Mm-hmm.
So it was only later in life that I realized that, I love the memory of all three teams that played in New York in the 50s, in the 40s, in the 30s, in the 20s, that sort of thing, before my time. And I look back on my memories following the Yankees, if not rooting for them, as some of the most important sports memories of my life. Great teams, Mickey Mantle, Roger Maris years. And I look back on the Dodgers as my heroes, even though I was a Giant fan. I remember Roy Campanella and Gil Hodges, who should be in the Hall of Fame if we're going to talk baseball. Among other players, who do you think should be in and who do you think should be out?
Mm-hmm.
Mike Wagner.
Oh my gosh! I think you kind of threw a curveball on that one, and I probably
it was a knuckleball. It was a knuckleball.
It was like a Phil Necro knuckleball. I have to say that, and Joe
snuck
kind of
snuck right up on you to see if you're just looking at the board or you're thinking about my interview.
I think that's a really good one, too. And, of course, there's always debate about Pete Rose as well, too. Should Pete be in the Hall of Fame or not? And, of course, there's a whole gambling issue, and, that's all in the past and whatever else. And, I mean, it's just like, hey, give Pete Rose a break. And, of course, you have all the other issues going on. And, of course, you also got some of the modern ones as well, too, just trying to get into baseball as well, too. And I think they have some first-timers as well. So I'm just kind of combing through here to see who gets in. And, of course, I enjoyed Ernie Banks, just having him get in. And I think there was also, let me just see here, just trying to jog my memory. So, yeah.
Well, how about this? There are two people besides Gil Hodges that I think should be locks for the Hall of Fame. One of them is Minnie Minoso.
Yes, Minnie Minoso, Chicago White Sox. I went to White Sox games, and here's the funny story. Although I've been a Cub fan for many, many years, my dad took me to more White Sox games than Cubs games. The reason being was because my sisters won tickets because they had straight A's and perfect attendance. They didn't like baseball. They gave it to me. Yeah. So it's like, here, Michael, I hate baseball. You guys can go. So I said, okay. Watching Minnie Minoso, do his stuff. And of course, you had that big shower at Comiskey Park. You just pull it down, and especially those 90-degree days, and like the White Sox, get killed, say, by 10 runs going to 8th inning. Fans are bored out of their minds, and they go to that shower just to cool off. And I think my dad dared me one day. It was 32 degrees, and we were setting up the the right field area. We're at this blowing cold. They're playing the Baltimore Orioles. This is like in April. And I said, this is a bunch of crap. You're about going to a football game. And the Sox were losing. And we were like bundled up in winter coats, had hot chocolate and whatever else. And he says, go down there and go to the shower. I'm like, you go first. I've got money. And then, I went down there and it's just like, it's frozen. So they're like, you had to be crazy to do that. But, that stuff was fun. And Bill Veeck was obviously the genius of having like fun baseball. I mean, they didn't care if the White Sox won 100 games, won the pennant, went to World Series. They didn't care if they won 50 or 60 games. It was just like, they just want to have fans just to have fun. That's the thing. I like to see it come back in many ballparks, especially a big show you pull down in center field. And of course, the Arizona Diamondbacks, just having a pool in center field is good enough, but I just miss having a shower just to pull down when your favorite team is getting killed by so many runs.
Brings back the memories. Bill Veeck, if you have a bibliography to your show, include Veeck as in wreck. Everybody go out and go to the library, order it on Amazon, written by the number one showman in baseball of all time and a terrific innovator, as well as a terrific general manager who built terrific teams. The 48 Cleveland Indians were his, and they went to the World Championship. I think the 59 White Sox were owned by Bill Veeck, if I'm not mistaken.
I remember watching the 59 White Sox, watching about them. I think at the time, that was like their last chance of, being in the World Series until they won against Houston. I think it was in 2004 or 2005. Everybody was crying about the White Sox not going back since 59. I remember that.
Right. Terrific team, a terrific pennant race that year. They beat out Cleveland and the Yankees, took it down to the wire with guts and bailing wire. Let's put it that way. Really underrated. They played the Dodgers in the World Series, and Dodgers pretty much showed them why. But they pulled the year out, and Minoso was a vital part of that. But what made that team was the terrific double play combination of Louis Aparicio and Nellie Fox. And they were the premier Keystone Kids of the day. And that includes Tony Kubek and Bobby Richardson with the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
Fox and Aparicio were where it was at. I mean, Nellie was such a good situational hitter back in the days when baseball had situational hitters. Get the guy over, get the guy in, take two, hit to right, that sort of thing. Now baseball is pretty much throw him up there, swing, hit a home run, or strike out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's changed. I bemoan that. It's still baseball, no matter how much it changes. And the fact that this is opening day week brings a little warmth to this old guy's heart.
Yes, that's right. And I'm trying to get some scoreboard information as well, too. Internet's a little bit slow. They're probably getting jammed with baseball scores and everything else. And yes, talking, having like the game change as well, too. And of course, the number of pitch counts. And now what they're doing with the pitchers and everything is, heck with a 5-man rotation, just throw a reliever in there to start, put in another reliever, and have your starter, Cy Young, like in Clayton Kershaw, as the closer. It's like, what do you think about that? Having like a reliever start, work your way into a starter, and have your ace starter be a closer, like the Dodgers did last year.
Well, I'll just give you the words of Madison Bumgarner. Pretty damn good pitcher. He says, the day I get to the ballpark and there's some opener coming into the game, on the day that I'm supposed to pitch, I'm going home.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just his opinion, and his opinion means a whole lot more than mine.
That is very true. And, of course, we're talking about the White Sox as well, too, and the 2019 Hall of Famers as well, too. We're talking about the White Sox. Harold Baines is going in, and, of course, there was some controversy about that. So it's like, marginal numbers and whatever else. And that thing's all based on how he affected the game or affected the team. And I remember Harold Baines as just delivering just game-winning hits and game-winning home runs. And I remember going to one of the games again. This time wasn't through my dad. It was through my sister, whose husband had some White Sox tickets, sat behind home plate, and when they played the Oakland A's, I remember Harold Baines did a walk-off 3-run homer to beat the A's. It was in 10 innings. That was probably one of the best games I had seen. And I think it was like, oh my gosh,
Mike, let me stop you for a second. Let me stop you. Harold Baines was one damn good ball player, a real good, solid major league ball player. He wasn't a Hall of Famer. He was elected so that the turnout for the ceremonies would be gigantic coming from Chicago.
Uh-huh.
And remember, it's a museum. And the museum charges money to get in. And when you get a Chicago or New York contingency to go up for the ceremonies, the induction ceremonies, they automatically boost everything. Hotels, restaurants, all that stuff is served. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, the museum is a business. And objectivity and the Hall of Fame selections are an impossible. It's impossible to put one and two together that way. It's who chooses which committees, veterans committees, this, that, and the other thing. It's politics. It's always politics, and therefore, it's great for we talk show folk because it gives us fodder of who should be in, who wasn't put in, who got in and should be out, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. I love it. I love talking about it. But just remember, you got to follow the money if you want the real reason things happen. Not just in baseball, but in politics, in where you worship, whatever it is, follow the money. That's my advice from an old guy to a young man.
Or any age, yes. And, of course, we'll talk about some of the Hall of Famers since we got on that subject. Listen to the Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com. Powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at Sonic Web Studios for all you need. Look at a professional website without breaking a budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable, custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show is brought to you by Evan Fine of the Senior Reserve Group. When you start a business or own a business for a while, who are you going to call for sole proprietorship insurance? Why not call the expert, Evan Fine of Senior Reserve Group? He also specializes in Medicare and long-term care insurance. Evan can be reached at 1-800-650-9357. That's 1-800-650-9357. Or evanfine@seniorreservegroup.com. Licensed in 7 states in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, Delaware, South Carolina, and Florida. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on themikewagnershow.com. You can also check our Facebook, facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can also download and listen on SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, and watch the interview on YouTube as well. We're here with the Zigzag Man, Ralph Tyko, out of Alameda, California. He's been New York City born, talking about the New York Mets and being a Mets fan for a number of years. We'll get to more of that. We're going to talk about the class of 2019. We just got into the into that as well, too, just throwing a curveball or knuckleball. And speaking of that, Roy Halladay, passed away like a couple years ago, plane crash and everything. And what do you think about Roy Halladay being in the Hall?
I well deserving. Glad he's in. Let me remind everybody, if we're talking about anything that goes beyond this show, contact us through Facebook. My name is Ralph Tyko, Tyko, and if you want to talk, discuss it, I'll lead you to my sites. I'll lead you to my podcast site, and that's on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and find Comfortably Zoned. We have archived every one of our offerings throughout the years, and just go through there. You'll see some wonderful stuff. And now I'm starting a new venture, as Mike mentioned, TLI TV.com, and Michael put up the website. It's Comfortably Zoned again, and have another show as well, New York City Baseball, where we have sports writers and coaches and managers and commentators, and we talk baseball, past, present, future. We go back to the old days. One of our recurring guests is Peter Golenbach, who wrote Dynasty and Bums, two of the definitive books on Yankee and Dodger history. Another one of our guests is Hal Bach, who spent 43 years as an AP baseball writer, Associated Press. And he's still in good voice and good mind, and takes us back to the days of Madison Square Garden and Ranger hockey and Knick basketball. New York is thick with sports tradition, and we like to cover it, and we love it. So, and Mike, I'm glad I got you thinking about the Hall of Fame.
Yes, that's right. And of course, being in winter mode for about 4 or 5 months, especially after the Red Sox knock off the Dodgers 4-1. And I was in tune also to the Milwaukee Brewers, and I'm glad to see them make it, although they were 1 game short of making it to the World Series for first time since 1982. And, I could see some future Hall of Famers in the Brewers as well, too. And, look at some of the upcoming season, and with the Milwaukee Brewers, there's a question since the Brewers made it this far against the LA Dodgers coming in 1 game of the World Series, can the Milwaukee Brewers repeat?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. Yelich is beyond a superstar. He's terrific.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was just going to say, if you have a superstar to build around, it's a lot easier. Mike Trout comes to mind with the Angels, who are going to go do some big things now that they've signed him and they can build around him. So look for them to come up in the world, and look for my New York Mets to have a hell of a season this year.
Yes, Jacob deGrom. 5-year deal. Oh my gosh, what was it? $40 million or somewhere around there? It's like 5 years they secured him.
It's a lot of money, but it's a good sign, and it relieves everybody, and it tells the other people in the clubhouse that a signing can take place.
Mm-hmm.
The Mets are going to give up some money, which has always been in question. The Will Ponzis have not been easy on this and many other Met fans. It's been very difficult.
And of course, considering the season they had last year, where they had the potential to take on the National League East, take on Washington and Philadelphia, which Philadelphia kind of fell apart. Going after the Scherzers and of course. just trying to think of their ace right now. But anyway, it's like, with the Mets, it's like, they had the pieces together, but they had quite a number of injuries that fell apart, and looks like they're coming back together again. So I guess the big question is, it's like, how much ammunition do they have to take out the Washington Nationals this year?
Well, they improved their bullpen. They improved their catching. They got deep all over. There's a lot of guys in competition for jobs. They're very, very solid. Their shortstop, Rosario, is blossoming into a superstar. They acquired Cano, and he is a professional hitter. They say, well, he's 31 years old, this, that, and the other thing. You know what? There are some guys that will be able to hit the ball when they're 38, 39. He is that. And they have a guy named McNeil coming up, and lightening up the top of the order with Rosario. They're going to put some guys on. They're planning a bunting game. Conforto is coming into his own, and they've got this kid at first base, Alonso, and he's a beast. You watch for him. He just found out today he made the Major League roster. They were going to send him out for at least the first 2 weeks of the season because it would extend the years they had him under contract. But he pushed the envelope in spring training, and he's going north with the team. I think they're good for 86 games, and I think they're good for 88 if Alonso, 88 to 90 if Alonso is all he's hyped up to be. And I think he is.
That sounds amazing, too. It kind of goes back to the last time the Mets had won the World Series as well, too. And it looks like, they could be making a great run as well, too. But they have to get past the Dodgers. And then depends on who comes out the National League Central. The Cubs have got themselves back and running again. Yu Darvish reportedly had actually been working out, looks improved. And they kept just about everybody intact. And then, of course, you look at I'm just trying to think here for just a minute. We have the Central, we have the West, and of course, you got the East. So it looks like whoever can get over the hump of Los Angeles has a chance to go against the Boston Red Sox in the American League.
Well, I wouldn't exactly give it to the Boston Red Sox before they play the season. Speaking of New York, the Yankees filled a few of their needs over the winter. They signed Tulowitzki, a Western Division or an Central Division guy all these years. And they're going to shore up their shortstop until De Gregorius gets back. And Judd is a monster. He's going to be healthy all year, presumably, and he's going to put up some numbers that you will marvel at. But beyond that, Judd has something going for him. He's really a solid right fielder with a terrific arm. He's got a gun for an arm, and he uses it selectively. He'd rather get a guy out by just a step than throw his arm out. Mm-hmm. He's not interested in impressing anybody, but he is really he, like Trout, being the face of the franchise in Anaheim, can be the guy when you think in New York baseball for the next 10, 15 years, you're going to think of Judge.
And I think that's something, too. And, of course, the big news last year was the signing of Giancarlo Stanton away from the Miami Marlins. And, there was question that where the Marlins is trying to purge, just for salary purposes. But getting Stanton, he had a really slow start in April, fans were booing and Stanton got frustrated, but then he started coming on like gangbusters in the second half of the season. I mean, he wasn't the real reason, but he was part of that huge cock that kind of reminds you of the Yankees from the 90s, like Posada and all the others as well, too. It's just like,
and O'Neill
just amazing.
And Williams
yes.
And Jeter.
Yes, that's right.
It'll be an interesting year. Hey, man, I love loved having you on my podcast a while back, and I love being a guest on your podcast. I hope we could continue to do this and enrich each other's lives.
Yes, that's right, too. And, of course, I'll be on TLB TV and talking about the Chicago Cubs, the Chicago White Sox, and of course, like I mentioned about the Chicago Cubs, that they came within one game of, knocking off Colorado. They lost in extra innings, lost to Brewers in extra innings, and, just 3 heartbreaking losses in a row. It's like, they lost the first in extra innings to force into a tiebreaker. They lose the tiebreaker. They get into the wild card. They lose that in extra innings. It was just a heartbreaker all across the board. But I think they're just ready to go. And, of course, they had the news that Ian Happ, one of their star players, who last year hit an opening day home run against the Fish, looking to be impressive. He got sent down because they needed him with more at bats. There was just not enough room in a crowded roster already in Chicago. And I remember a one-time Met, Daniel Murphy, had actually helped the Cubs to get into the promised land, but then he got signed away. I think the Nationals picked him up, or I'm trying to think it was Atlanta or some team. So I'm just trying to remember right now who Murphy went to.
I can't help you there. I had a little brain stoppage. So Daniel Murphy's name is a Met fan. He went to Washington, then he went to the Dodgers, and has come back and hurt the Mets an awful lot. He really came into his own after leaving. And we've had some very frustrating years, tapped off by 2 frustrating years of injuries. I'm glad this year they're solid. I'm glad they have depth, and I'm glad they kept that pitching staff together.
Yeah, yes, that's right, too. And, of course, I was going to get to more about the Mets fans as well, too, that I forgot to mention as well, too, before you throw me a knuckleball in terms of the Hall of Fame, with, watching the Brooklyn Giants and New York Giants, the Brooklyn Dodgers throughout the years. And which stadium do you think held most dearest to your heart, and which one did you actually like better? Was it the Ebbets Field, the Giants Stadium, or Yankee Stadium?
Interesting you say that, because in that year that I talked about, 1951, when I was a very little impressionable kid who picked up on baseball right away, my grandfather not only took me to the Polo Grounds, but he took me to Ebbets Field, and across the street, across Prospect Boulevard, there was a big apartment building that his sister, my great-aunt Sonny, she wasn't all that great. She complained a lot. She had gas, but nevertheless an aunt, and she lived right across the street. And I remember I'm 4.5 years old, and I remember him pointing up, that's where Aunt Sonny lives. And then he took me to Yankee Stadium, and he said, look out, the guy playing center field. That's Joe DiMaggio. It's his last year. You'll never see him play again, but you'll always be able to say, you saw Joe DiMaggio play. Wow. I saw Willie. I saw DiMaggio that first year. I obviously saw Duke Snider, although I don't remember him, but I saw Aunt Sonny's apartment building across the street from Ebbets Field. I'm blessed. My grandfather gave me a passion, and I want to ask you, who passed on your passion to you, Mike?
I would probably say I kind of picked up the game myself, because my dad, from a business trip in Chicago, came home with a Chicago Cubs hat that was given to him by Ferguson Jenkins, or I call him Fergie Jenkins, one of my favorite players. Yes, Fergie, my favorite player. Oh, my goodness. It was like the Cubs played just for fun back then. Although they lost so many games, they were called the lovable losers for good reason. You know, I was living in Racine. I was a Brewer fan just out of just being casual because of the fact that they had a team and it was something to watch. I kind of picked up myself. And it's just like, you know, the Brewers were having a bad year and the Cubs, you know, not any better. But then I looked, it's like the Cubs were actually more fun to watch. And I have to say this, I think we're getting into the 70s a little bit. I remember 1976, you know, just being at the height of it. You know, I'm just kind of giving away my age here as well, too, that in grade school on July 4th, when they were playing the Dodgers, I remember that flag burning incident in center field, and Rick Monday came out and saved the flag, and he was like the hero of Los Angeles back in the day, although he was played for the Cubs, and it was like, and then every time he came back to L.A., they all cheered for Rick Monday because he saved an American flag. And I remember him as a player. I mean, he was just consistent all across the board, never complained. A lot of Cubs never complained, although they were losing, just came out and enjoyed the game. And that's how a lot of them did, too. And of course, Bruce Sutter first came in 76, and look where he's at right now with, you know, revolutionizing the fork ball. They call it the split finger. And Jose Cardinal was on there. Jerry Morales was a star in the Cubs with a basket grab, and he later played for Mets in, I think, 82 or something like that, and did pretty well over at Shea Stadium. So I remember that.
He was a pretty good ball player. Right? You have an excellent memory, Mike. That's terrific.
Yeah, yes, it is. And of course, you know, I was going to ask you about too with
Modest too.
Yes, that's right. They had that, and I think Rick Russell pitched for the Cubs, and his brother Paul also pitched. He was a reliever, and the Russell brothers, still to this day, were the first brothers to pitch a complete game shutout they did against the Dodgers. And I watched it, and it's like it was just an amazement. They didn't do it just for publicity. Rick just happened to give out after 5 innings, and Paul was willing to finish up, and history was made against the Dodgers, 6-0. And it's like, you know, what brothers can get out there and pitch these days? It's like you don't see any brothers pitching.
No, you don't. That's very true. What you do see is a lot of kids of former major leaguers. I don't know if you're following Vlad Guerrero's son, who is injured now, but he's going to make a big impression in the big leagues quickly.
I remember watching him as well, too, and by the time he was ready to put up some more big numbers, he got hurt and recovering and everything else. And, of course, you know, everybody made the big deal about Ken Griffey Jr. and Sr. playing together on the same day, same batting order, same field and everything. Of course, everybody knows where that went. And I'm also trying to... And I'm also
let me tell you a quick Ken Griffey Jr. story.
Okay.
I was the Topps representative in the 80s and 90s. Mm-hmm. And I would go to the minor leagues and sign players to their Topps contract, guaranteeing Topps to have their permission to use their picture on baseball cards when and if they made the major leagues. Uh-huh. And I was in Bellingham, Washington, and signed a then 17-year-old Ken Griffey to a contract. We had to send it to his dad to co-sign because he wasn't of age. And I got to meet him in Bellingham and when he was in the first year he played in the Northwest League. Happy to say.
My, that is something. And, of course, you know, look where that got him, too. And, of course, I was going to offshoot as well, too. Remember the 1976 Cincinnati Reds, Ken Griffey Sr. being part of it. Of course, you had Pete Rose, Davey Concepcion, one of my favorite players. And, of course, you had George Foster and Johnny Bench and Also, and you also have the pitchers. You had Don Gullett and Pedro Borbon, and I've got a really good Pedro Borbon story to tell you later down the road. I mean, that group was just the most unstoppable bunch. Back then, the Big Red Machine.
Right, absolutely. Known more for their hitting than their pitching.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
Although you did pick out two of their stars to talk about, but they were overshadowed by what a lineup. Johnny Bench, D. Rose, Concepcion, Perez, Griffey in the outfield. My mind is stuck on Griffey. So you tell me who the other outfielders were, and we could call it a day.
Well, we could probably look that up as well, too. And, of course, we'll talk a little more about the Mets as well, too. Listen to the Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com. Powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking for a professional website without breaking a budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show is brought to you by Evan Fine of the Senior Reserve Group. When you start thinking about retirement, who are you going to call about Medicare? Why call the best? Evan Fine of Senior Reserve Group specializes in Medicare, health, and long-term care insurance. Evan can be reached at 1-800-650-9357. That's 1-800-650-9357. Or email to evanfine@seniorreservegroup.com. Evan is licensed in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, Delaware, South Carolina, and Florida. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. Also, check our Facebook page, facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can also download and listen on SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, and watch the interview on YouTube as well. We're here with the Zigzag Man, Ralph Tyko, and he's been New York City born and raised, living in Alameda, California, owner of ComfortablyZoneRadio.com, and he's also be coming to TLB TV very soon. We've been talking a lot of baseball. And, of course, I was just going to, get to the New York Mets, and we're talking a lot of baseball here. And when Shea Stadium was built in 1962, what were some of your thoughts when it got first built? And when you were in it, it's like, what did you like and dislike about Shea Stadium?
Well, actually, it was built in 1964.
1964. Yeah. I'm sorry. I was thinking 62 when the Mets were started.
They played at the Polo Grounds those first 2 years. And I grew up about a mile and a half from Shea Stadium and played hooky on opening day to go to the game. And I was there. They played the Pirates opening day at Shea Stadium. And it was a cookie-cutter ballpark, built along the same lines as many in their day. It had very little personality, must say, other than the memories that were generated. It was terrific for us. It was state of the art in 1964, and it coincided with the World's Fair being in Flushing Meadows, and they were right next door to Shea Stadium. And as a 16, 17-year-old kid, it was great to get the Mets back, get National League Baseball back. And it certainly was fun having the Mets play a mile and a half from where you live.
That is amazing, too. And, of course, not only Shea Stadium had all the memories of the Mets, the World Series and everything, you also had the Beatles, and you also had Billy Joel playing concerts and special events as well, too. And, of course, imagine at the time, just having the Fab Four, just play right in your own backyard back in the day. So
Absolutely. They opened it up, and, boy, good memories. You're bringing it back for me. It's a little nostalgia.
Yes, that's right too. And of course, with the Mets, back in the day, where it's like you had about 10,000 fans and everything else, and it's like, did you guys try to sneak up on the very upper deck, and how to feel being up there? It's like there were some mixed reviews, and I said I kind of want to try Shay out, just go way up there, like on a regular day or something. So,
yeah. Would you put that in question form?
Oh no, I'm just simply saying, is this like, being up in that very upper deck, like, what was it, they had like, what, 3 decks or something? It's like, just...
Yeah, it's a 3-deck stadium. Very many stadiums, even today, are 3-tiered.
Mm-hmm.
Most are major league stadiums. But it was high. As were we, as a matter of fact. I remember that specifically.
Uh-huh.
That's where I was named the Zigzag Man, because I had the papers.
and I guess we're going to ask as well, too, how'd you get the name of the Zigzag Man? Not to mention it, we've been talking so much baseball. It's just like, people are wondering, how'd you get the name the Zigzag Man? It's like, okay, I may as well ask the question before somebody tries to beam me with a Aroldis Chapman 105-mile-an-hour fastball from the Yankees.
Okay, well, that's the story from my memoirs. Are you going to buy the book and read it?
Absolutely, and I was going to ask everybody if they're going to buy the book and read it. So,
all right, but let me tell you this. You are the fastest talking, some guys talk fast and they're blurry. I understand every word you say, and you get it in, and you do really well reading with sincerity. You read your sponsor's message. You're terrific, Mike.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I think you've been oh my gosh, I think I've lost track on how many people have said it. I mean, I've been in broadcasting since 1982, 18 years old, and I was going to be a sports journalist myself, wanting to write for the Cubs, and of course get into, the White Sox, the Bulls, the Bears, the Blackhawks, and whatever else. And then here I am. I end up in broadcasting, just doing just about everything, including sports, interviewing great guys like you. And I think I lost count on how many people have said that in my 30-plus years. But I got to a point, it's like, okay, majority rules, I'll tell you that. But thank you, though.
All right. I want to tell you what a pleasure it is being on. And, again, I hope you'll have me back.
Okay, great. And just one more thing, too. What are some of your upcoming projects, besides TLB TV? And what's your website, and how can people contact you?
They can contact me on Facebook, as I say, Ralph Tyko, Tyko. They can contact me through my website, which is comfortablyzonedradio.com.
Okay.
And it's a GoDaddy website competing directly with your sponsor. Now, what do you think of that?
Hey, you know what? I just simply say, bring it on. That's all I can say.
Well, I'll tell you what. I am so dissatisfied with GoDaddy that I will be looking. You sold me.
Well, something, it's just like, if you ever need the phone number to get a hold of them and, get the website done, let me know. It's call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. So, that's the number to call.
303, I'm writing it down. I'm serious. 303?
3960.
3960. I will. What's their name again?
Sonic Web Studios.
Sonic Web. I'm going to give them a call and see how easy it would be to transfer the website. And I thank you for your passing on the message.
So,
I won't kill the messenger as they did with Garcia.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And, of course, I just wanted to say thank you very much for your time. It's been great. I definitely look forward to having you on again very soon. And during the baseball season, we're going to be talking more and more and more baseball. This is not the first, only last. I'm going to have you on more often, and I'm going to be on your network more often. And let's keep talking baseball more often as well, too. And you can throw me as many knuckleballs as you like. Eventually, I'll hit one of them.
You hit this one just fine. How about that? It was a double. It was a double to left.
Double to left. Okay, so did I knock in any runs, or is it just simply runners in second and third, one out, and who would be coming up to try to knock them in?
That kind of talk it's not. There's no I in team.
That's
team
right.
Won. It doesn't matter how you did. The team won.
Yes, that's right. And we'll be talking more about that. I mean, opening day doesn't signify how the team is going to do. We've got about 162 days to talk about it. And, of course, you got the wild cards. You got the division playoffs. You got the pennant. And you also got the World Series. So many opportunities, to talk baseball as well.
Thank you, my friend, for having me.
And thank you. We will be talking soon and keep up the date as well.
Happy trails.
Thanks for listening to The Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Listen online at themikewagnershow.com and on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And watch the interview on YouTube. Also, become a sponsor of the program or donate today at themikewagnershow.com. Join us again tomorrow for another episode of The Mike Wagner Show.